Let's do another problem. So here's problem again on Sylow theorems. Find all the 2 Sylow subgroups of the symmetric groups. Find all the 2 Sylow subgroups of the symmetric groups S4, S5 and S6. Okay, so these are so in each case I want you to try and find what are all the 2 Sylow subgroups, what they look like explicitly in terms of permutations. Okay, so again please do try this on your own. Let me work out the solution for you. So let's do S4 first. So let's take the group S4. Its cardinality is 24. Cardinality of S4 is 24, which is 4 into 6. So that's 8 into 3. Should write this as 2 cubed into 3 power 1. So the subgroup that we are looking for, the 2 Sylow subgroup, is a subgroup of cardinality 8 in this case. Okay, so I'm trying to find let H be a 2 Sylow subgroup. H be a 2 Sylow subgroup. The cardinality of H is 8. Okay, let's try and find a subgroup whose cardinality is 8 in this case. Now there are some obvious things we can start with. So let's first do, so I'm looking at all permutations of the numbers 1, 2, 3 and 4. So for instance, here's one possibility. I take the identity, let me call the identity as E now, and the transposition 1, 2. So this is a subgroup. It's got cardinality 2 rather than 2 cubed. Okay, because 1, 2, this is a transposition, square is identity. Let's look at another E 3, 4, again a subgroup of cardinality 2. So let me give these elements names A and B, these transpositions 1, 2 and 3, 4. So observe they are both elements of order 2, and further, since they are sort of disjoint, they commute with each other. AB and BA are actually equal to each other, and their product is nothing but this 1, 2, 3, 4, again an element of order 2. Okay, so what we can do next is to, so I'm sort of trying to get to this cardinality 8 by looking at other possible powers of 2 as starting points. So I've constructed subgroups of cardinality 2 now. Using these two, we can construct a subgroup whose cardinality is 4. How is that? Well, actually in this case we can just look at the subgroup generated by their union, if you wish. So let's put A, B together. I mean, we want a subgroup which contains H1 and H2. So that's a subgroup generated by them. And because of these relations here, all I need to do is just look at the subgroup whose elements are E, A, B and AB. I don't need to include any further elements. This is the smallest subgroup which contains both H1 and H2. Okay, this is a subgroup. This is like the Klein 4 group, if you wish, a copy of a cyclic group of cardinality 2 with itself. So this guy is again a subgroup, but its cardinality is only 4, subgroup of cardinality 4. And what we really want to do is to go one further level up. We want to double this further in some way. Okay, now in order to get to order 8, here's the element. So that will do the trick for us. So let me tell you what it is first, and then we'll see why it does the job. So consider the element 1, 3, 2, 4. Okay, it's not the one I wrote here. That's this guy is 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm looking at the product 1, 3 times 2, 4. Okay, this is an element of S4. So let's define this element. Observe that what are the properties of C? Firstly, it's an order 2 element. That's okay. Unlike this other element 1, 2, 3, 4, this element C does not commute with A and B. Okay, So in fact, if you sort of conjugate, so if you look at what is CA C inverse, which is, if you remember how conjugation works in symmetric groups, all you have to do is to replace, so take A, which in this case is 1 2, and you just replace 1 and 2 by the numbers that they map to under the transformation, under the permutation C. Okay, so in this case 1 maps to 3, 2 maps to 4, so CAC inverse will just be 1 maps to 3, 2 maps to 4. So this is going to become the permutation 3 4, which is exactly B. Okay, by a similar token, CBC inverse will just be 3 maps to 1, 4 maps to 2, this will just become 1 2, that's A. Okay, so that's so in particular it tells you that C doesn't commute with A and B, because CAC inverse is not A, it's in fact B in this case. Okay, so we have sort of thrown in this additional element. Now let's see what we get if we also include this element. So let me now take the subgroup I generated already. To that I'll add in this additional element C, and now take the subgroup generated by this collection. So in other words, I am trying to look for, if you wish, the subgroup which is really generated by the set A, B and C. So I have 3 elements whose order is 2, and if I just take the first 2 guys, I know it gives me what I called H3. Now I also want to throw in this additional element C and ask what that gives me. Okay, so now if you look at, so what do we need to do? Once I throw in an additional element, I must try and multiply it with what I already have and see what new elements arise. So let me take C and I'll multiply it with A, I'll multiply C with B, I'll also multiply C with AB, and let's compute in each case what one gets. So let me write out the answers for you. This is 1 4 2 3, the 4 cycle. That's what you get if you compute C into A. Okay, so let me just verify that, then I leave the rest for you to check. So what does C into A mean? How does one compute products of permutations? So first this is supposed to be the composition of the 2 maps A and C. Okay, so let me write out this A. Here's C, which is again 1 2 3 4. So what does the map A do? So CA is supposed to be thought of as the compositions of C with A and composition of bijections. So permutation is a bijection here. So recall what was A? A maps 1 to 2 and 2 to 1. Okay, it maps these two to themselves. That was what A does. That's what A did. And now what is C? C maps 1 to 3, 3 to 1. It maps 2 to 4 and 4 to 2. Right? Let's go back and see what C does. C was 1 3 2 4. So it maps 1 and 3. It swaps them. It swaps 2 and 4. Okay, so that's what this is. 1 goes to 3, 3 goes to 1, 2 and 4 go to each other. So now I have to compose these 2 maps and ask what the full composition looks like. Okay, so let's see, let's chase the arrows. So what does 1 map to under this? 1 goes to 4. Okay, so that's what you see here. 1 goes to 4. Now where does 4 go to? 4 goes to 2. So that's 4 goes to 2. Now, so I've figured this out. I've figured this out. Let's see what 2 goes to. 2 maps to 1, which maps to 3. Okay, so 2 goes to 3. And then finally 3 goes to 3 goes to 1. So 3 goes to 1. So that's the cycle here. Okay, so what I've done here is just written out the permutation in cycle notation. So that's 1 4 2 3. Now let's compute the other one. CB, for example, it turns out to be, well, I mean, you could do the same thing, write it out like this, but we could also use the various relations that we already know. CB is the same as AC, okay, because CB C inverse was A. And what is AC? Well, I know how to do CA. If I know how to do CA, then I know also how to do AC. Okay, why is that? Because AC is, let's see, it's C inverse, A inverse, the whole inverse. Okay, so this is how inverses work, right? So I have to swap the order, then take inverses. but observe that A and C were their squares were identity, which means A and C are their own inverses. So this is just CA whole inverse. Okay. Now I know what CA looks like, and the inverse of a 4 cycle is just obtained by reading the cycle in the other order. Okay, instead of clockwise you read it counterclockwise. So in this case it's just I start with 1, but then I read it in the other order. I sort of go first to 3 and then to 2 4. So that's 1 3 2 4. Okay. Now similarly you have to compute CAB, and let me just tell you the answer. It turns out to be 1 4 2 3. Okay, so what have I done? I have manufactured when I multiplied everything by C, and of course I should multiply C by the identity, which just gives me C itself. C was 1 3 2 4. Okay, so I get these elements, and you can check that if I just put all these 8 elements together, it's in fact a subgroup. Okay, it's closed under multiplication. So what's my subgroup H in this case? H turns out to be the elements I've manufactured in this manner. There's identity, there's 1 2, there's 3 4, 1 2 3 4. Now there's the 4 new elements, 1 3 2 4. Okay, so I have manufactured these 8 elements, and like I said, you have to check exercise. Well, 2 exercises. In fact, check that H is a subgroup. It's got cardinality 8, and if you stare really hard, you'll notice something interesting, that this subgroup has, well, it's got this element whose order is 4. Okay, so I have another element of order 4. In fact, if you notice that if I take this, let's look at the cyclic subgroup generated by 1 4 2 3. That's just these 4 elements: identity 1 4 2 3, this 1 2 3 4, and 1 3 2 4. Okay, so I've got this subgroup, cyclic subgroup of cardinality 4, and then all the other elements that remain are all elements whose square is identity. They are all elements of order 2. Okay, and this should remind you of something, that this looks very much like the dihedral group in some sense. Okay, so that's the second exercise. Show that H is actually isomorphic to the dihedral group with 8 elements. That's what we call D4. Okay, dihedral group with 8 elements. Okay, and you can pretty much see where it's coming from. Okay, so interesting thing we have seen is that the Sylow 2 Sylow subgroup of S4 is actually the group, it's got 8 elements, and it's isomorphic to the dihedral group on 8 elements. Okay, now observe something else. This subgroup H is not normal. Okay, so now I so far I've constructed 1 2 Sylow subgroup for you, but where are all the others? Okay, so observe for a start that this subgroup H is not normal inside S4. So observe, note, H is not normal. Why not? Well, because if what does normal mean? For example, I take the transposition 1 2 belongs to H. If H were normal, it will mean that every conjugate of 1 2 is also in H, right? So if H were to be normal, if H were normal, that would mean that every conjugate, every element of the form G12 G inverse would also belong to H. But then we know what conjugation does, right? What does conjugation do? It will just map it to every other transposition of this form. All the other guys of the form Ij, these should also belong to H for all I not equal to J. Okay, I and J running between 1 and 4 in this case. So every other possible transposition would also live in H, but observe from our description of H that in fact H only has 2 of these transpositions. It's got 1 2 and it's got 3, 4. Okay. In fact, there are how many in all? Well, there are actually 4 choose 2 transpositions, which is 6 transpositions inside the group S4, and H only contains 2 of them. Okay, it doesn't contain the other transposition. So H is not normal, and in fact, how do you get? Therefore, what it implies is that there are more Sylow subgroups. So which means that there should be more. There exists more 2 Sylow subgroups. Okay, how many are there? How many 2 Sylow subgroups are there? So this means that there are more. There are other 2 Sylow subgroups as well. Okay, and the question is how many are there? Okay, so let's, as always, let's give that a name. So let M denote the number of, let this be the number of 2 Sylow subgroups of S4. Now recall from last time's problem session, we sort of know how to compute this number by the orbit stabilizer theorem. This number, which is just the cardinality of the orbit under the conjugation action, this is the cardinality of the group divided by the cardinality of the stabilizer of any one 2 Sylow subgroup. Okay, here I picked one, which is H, and I ask how many elements are there in the stabilizer, and recall the stabilizer of H under the conjugation action is exactly what we call the normalizer. So all group elements such that GH G inverse is H, okay, which we call the normalizer in this case. The group is S4 here. Okay, and so this means that in particular this tells us that this number M must divide the cardinality of S4, because it's S4 divided by something. So M has to divide the cardinality of S4. In other words, M must divide 24. Okay, and we also know by Sylow theorem number 3 that M must be congruent to 1 modulo 2. Okay, so this guy is by Sylow theorem. Now we have 2 facts about M, that M is a divisor of 24 and M is an odd number. Okay, well, what does that mean? It's 3 or 1. Right. What are the odd divisors of 24? They can only be 1 or 3, but as we sort of did last time as well, M cannot be 1, because if M is 1, that will tell you that H is normal. Okay, so this cannot happen. This is not possible because H is known to be not normal. Right, we just argued that H is not normal because it contains 2 transpositions but not the other 4. Okay, so that tells you that M is actually 3, that there are exactly 3 2 Sylow subgroups. Okay, they're all of course conjugates of each other, they're all isomorphic to each other as well as a consequence. So they're all copies of the dihetal group, if you wish. And here's the, to finish off, let me tell you how to get the other ones. Let's take 2 of the other transpositions which are missing from H, so 1 3 and 1 4. Then look at the conjugation. So H itself, sigma H sigma inverse and tau H tau inverse. These are the 3 Sylow subgroups. These are the three distinct 3 Sylow subgroups. Sorry, 2 Sylow subgroups of S4. Okay, so we have succeeded in determining what the Sylow subgroups, 2 Sylow subgroups of S4 look like. Okay, but the problem also asked us to do the same thing for S5 and S6. So let's go on. So S5, cardinality of S5 is, well, what's that? It's 5 factorial. So it's in fact the cardinality of S4 multiplied with an additional 5, right. So in terms of S4, remember, was 2 cubed into 3 power 1. This was the cardinality of S4. All you're doing is sort of appending an additional prime to it, which is the prime 5 in this case. Okay. So what does that mean? Well, the 2 silo subgroup of S5 still has cardinality 8. Okay. The highest power of 2 in this case is still 2 cubed. Okay. And let me find one of them for you and leave the problem of finding all of them for you to work out. So here is an example. How does one find a subgroup? I need to find a subgroup of cardinality 8. So observe that in some sense we have already solved the problem, right. So observe S4 is actually a subgroup of S5. Okay. So because S4 is a subgroup of S5, any subgroup of S4 is automatically a subgroup of S5. So inside S4 I had determined, I already had my 3 silo subgroup H, and this guy has cardinality 8. This is the one we just did, So this 8 element subgroup is a silo subgroup of S4, but it's also a silo subgroup of S5, okay, because the power of 2 you are looking for is still the same. So observe, the same answer works. H is also a 2 silo subgroup of S5. So I have given you one example. Of course, like I said, exercise, find all of them. How many are there and what do they look like? Okay. Let me move on to S6 now. Let's look at the group S6. How does this behave? Well, what do I have? The cardinality now is the cardinality of S4, which is 4 factorial, into 5 into a 6. So in other words, the 6, remember, is a 2 into 3. Okay, so I have cardinality of S4, but then I have now increased my power of 2 by 1. Okay, so if I write this out fully, this is 2 power 4, 3 squared, 5 power 1. Okay, so now I am looking for a subgroup whose cardinality is 16 rather than 8. Okay, so how do I find a subgroup of cardinality 16 inside S6? That's now my question, right? So I want K, let's call it subgroup of S6 whose cardinality is now 16. Okay, again a moment's thought, we have solved the problem for S4, right? So inside S4 we have determined a subgroup whose cardinality is 8. Now what is S4? It's all permutations of 1, 2, 3 and 4. S6 is all permutations of 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, 6. Okay, so I have 2 more elements. Now how do I construct K is supposed to have twice the number of elements as H. Okay, so here's the idea. So just look at these 2 additional numbers that we have. We have the numbers 5 and 6 now when you go from S4 to S6. So let's also look at the subgroup which is just generated by the transposition 5, 6, the thing which just permutes the 2 of them. Okay, so let's give this a name. Let's call this K dash. So let's look at identity and 5, 6. This is a subgroup whose cardinality is 2. Okay. Now in addition, I already had the subgroup H, which I constructed in the first instance when I was looking for S4. I already have H in my hand. H has 8 elements. K prime has 2 elements. Now let me sort of smash them together and see what I get. So let me define K to just be the subgroup generated by H and K prime. Okay, and again I leave this as an exercise because this in some sense K prime, every element of K prime commutes with every element of H. Okay, why? Because H only affects the first 4 numbers, right? It's all elements of H are all permutations of 1, 2, 3 and 4, whereas elements of K prime are permutations of the other numbers 5 and 6. So in some sense they don't interact with each other, they act on disjoint subsets of numbers. So every element of H and every element of K prime actually commute with each other. Okay. So if you take their union and look at the subgroup generated, it's just going to be all all products, all possible products of elements from H and K prime. Okay. This is just going to be everything in H multiplied with elements of K prime, and so this will turn out that this is exactly cardinality 16. Okay. So cardinality of K turn out to be exactly 16. And you can, if you wish, write out all the elements. So what do the elements of this K look like? Let me go back to the elements of H. Here are the elements of H. So K is nothing but the same elements of H union the elements of H multiplied by the transposition 5, 6. Okay. So I can write all these out, then I can also write out the ones with 5, 6. So let's do that. So this is my H. So let's copy H here and let's go here. Let me look at so what is K now? K is all these very same elements union these elements multiplied with 5, 6. So 1, 2, 5, 6 and so on. So you will get 16 elements when you do this. So let me just write them all out. Okay, and again I am going to leave the question of how many there are, how many 2-silo subgroups are there. So I have just constructed one for you. So this is a 2-silo subgroup of S6. How many 2-silo subgroups are there and how do you determine all of them? Okay, so I'd encourage you to sort of explore problems of this kind, try doing it for 3-silo subgroups or 5-silo subgroups and so on for the various symmetric groups. Okay, so you'll all, it's a very, very interesting exercise to see what sorts of permutations should take and so on. Okay.